And good morning. It's 7:04 on this Tuesday, November 16th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Tuesday morning, we're glad to have you with us. Our program presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Tracy Pope is here today, as usual, Director of Community Relations for Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
And how are things?
Going well, yeah.
Well, you've brought a guest for us, a doctor for us to interview today, which we always appreciate. Anything you want to say before I'll let you even introduce him today. Before you do that, is anything you want to tell us?
Yes, I do. I am a proud Rotarian. I joined the Mount Juliet Noon Rotary Club last year, and the Lebanon Noon Rotary Club is celebrating their 100th anniversary this Saturday. So I have learned that's a very big deal, a huge celebration. The International Rotary President and his wife will be in town, so tickets have been on sale. They might be sold out, I'm not really sure, but it's just very exciting, I think, for our community and for Rotarians that are out there listening. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to Lebanon New
Well,
Rotary.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We're going to be doing a program about that maybe tomorrow.
Good.
Yes, tomorrow,
Okay.
Thursday, I think.
All right.
All right, who you have today?
Yeah, so we have Dr. John Tate. He is a well-established physician in our community. He's been here for 30 years, and he's recently joined the Vanderbilt family. He is Vanderbilt Ear, Nose, and Throat, and we're excited to have Dr. Tate with us this morning.
Well, we're excited to have both of you here, and Dr. John Tate, good morning.
Good morning to you, Coleman.
It is nice to see you, actually to meet you. I've heard a lot about you. You've been around here for, we want to find out a little bit about you. Tracy said something about 30 years. Let's talk about before you came to Lebanon. Where did you grow up?
My middle years were in Louisiana, and I attended LSU and LSU Medical School and did a residency in ear, nose, and throat in Louisiana. And after I finished, I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to put roots down, and I moved to the Oregon coast, which is a beautiful, beautiful area, but it's very isolated, and it's not the South.
Yeah.
And after about 2 years and a lot of rain and drizzle, I missed the South, and I looked around for 2 years to find a place, and really liked Lebanon, and it felt like home, and I've been here now a little over 30 years.
What prompted you to become a doctor, to get into the medical profession? Is this something you knew all along, or at what point in life did you determine this?
Actually, it wasn't until I was in college that I had decided to pursue pre-medical, and I like the ability to do different things for people and to practice where I wanted to and not be locked down to one area. And but that was the initial thoughts, to just be able to work with people.
Well, you have an office here. Where is it?
My office is right by the front door of the hospital. It's 206 Babb Drive, and I've been there for 20 years now. And before I joined Vanderbilt, I was regional ENT for an extended period of time and have treated people in Wilson County and surrounding counties for the whole 30 years.
And the type or the age of the patients that come to see you, is it wide range?
We treat people from generally right after birth for certain ear and tongue conditions up to 90 years old for hearing loss and that sort of thing. So we see just about every age group.
Well, there's quite a difference in the behavior of a 2-year-old and an 82-year-old.
At times there is.
Well, the youngsters, the babies, they have to be accompanied by a parent or a guardian or some adult that's responsible for them. I don't know whether that makes much difference or not, but you can't talk much to those babies.
That's right, and we have to rely on referrals from private practice, family care, pediatricians, and the such. And Probably 75 to 80% of our business is referral. We have several people that come on their own for earaches and hearing loss and sore throats and things like that. But for the most part, people are seen by their primary cares and treated, and when they fail treatment, then they come to see us.
Well, you've been here long enough to have your name out before the family doctors and the general practitioners, this sort of thing. So I guess you probably have worked a good referral list with them.
Right. And, you know, a lot of our referrals, too, are patient referrals. I see people now that I'm taking tonsils out that I took their parents' tonsils out 20 years ago, or put tubes in their ears and treated their parents 20, 25 years ago. So it's kind of going full circle, and a lot of it's name recognition and patient referral, too.
But you do all of this. I mean, you do surgery. There's quite a bit involved in being an ear, nose, and throat specialist.
We do a lot of medical treatments for ear, throat, sinus issues, infections, things of that nature. And generally, when they fail medical treatment is when we consider doing surgical intervention. And that goes true with children with ear infections. They have to have a certain number of infections, generally 4 or 5, and been on several antibiotics and failed those treatments before we'll consider doing something.
Let's talk about the ear infections. You mentioned that a couple of times here. Is there a particular cause? Is it area that we live in? Is it inherited? What about ear infections?
Well, generally in children, the eustachian tube, which is an opening that goes from the back of the nose to the ear, has not developed, and it doesn't ventilate the ear. There's nothing about draining. It's more of a ventilation issue. And if the ear can't ventilate, generally it'll fill up with mucus or fluid. That affects their hearing, and that fluid is susceptible to getting infections. And that's when we have to treat them a little more aggressively.
Will medication usually take care of that?
It will take care of a big number of the infections, and it'll control the infections. But unfortunately, if that eustachian tube doesn't open, the fluid stays. That'll affect their hearing and speech development, and that's when we have to consider doing an intervention.
But surgery can correct that.
Surgery can bypass the eustachian tube until they develop and grow and it starts functioning on its own.
You do much of that?
We do quite a bit of that. Now, I think with the isolation from COVID, we've seen a reduction in the amount of kids that have ear infections, but it's one of our more, I wouldn't say popular, but more frequent procedures we do in the youngsters.
Well, what about chronic ear disease? And I take it that doesn't necessarily include the eustachian tube.
Well, you know, when we see chronic ear disease in adults, it dates back most of the time, and with a careful history, you can identify people that have had multiple ear problems and infections when they were younger. And if they weren't treated appropriately at that time, they can develop chronic ear problems that'll stay with them for the rest of their life. And so we treat adult ear infections a little bit differently than the kids. The kids will generally outgrow their issues by the time they're 2.5 to 4 years old. If it lasts into adulthood, which we have several patients that still have ear problems, it can be related to an obstruction of that eustachian tube that hasn't developed over time, or from allergies, sinus, other nose issues that keep their ears from ventilating properly.
Can a person generally expect to find some help, some relief to get over chronic ear disease, even if they're up in years?
They can, but it's a little more of a process for our treatment, depending on what their issues are and how much we can control their symptoms. We have several adult patients that still require ventilation tubes in their ears. And as an adult, we would put in a different type of tube that would stay in longer. In children, the type of tube we use normally comes out on its own within a year. And most of those kids don't require the tubes to be replaced. Now, approximately 10 to 15% will require a second set of tubes.
Well, there's a lot involved in the ear and in what you do. Let's move to sinus infections. We'll talk about that a little bit before we go to our break here. Some of the causes and treatment options for chronic sinus infections.
Right. And sinuses are almost like ears with their treatment. The nose has to ventilate. And the number one cause of sinus infections and sinus issues is obstruction. Now, in Middle Tennessee, the most common cause of obstruction is allergies, and there's a huge allergy component before people get sinus disease. And then the other form of obstruction that we see commonly is something called the deviated nasal septum, and that's a deviated or crooked wall in the nose that restricts their breathing and keeps them from getting good airflow. And over time, those obstructions can cause the sinuses to fill up with fluid, similar to what the ears do, fill up with fluid, and then that fluid is an easy avenue that they can get infected.
Well, you have been doing this for 30 years or longer. How often do you do surgery on a daily basis, weekly basis? Or?
We do surgery weekly. We have a day of the week that we generally reserve, and sinus disease is no different than ears and their pre-op assessment. They have to be treated with a certain number of antibiotics, sometimes steroids. With sinus disease, we use irrigations, whether it has steroid in it or just saline, and that helps keep the nose clean and enhance the ability to get air to the sinuses so they can drain properly. And after a certain amount of time and a certain number of antibiotics and other medications we use, if they don't respond, then there are times when we'll offer a surgical intervention.
Okay, with that, we will call a halt to our discussion for a moment here, but only for a moment. Dr. John Tate, Vanderbilt Ear, Nose, and Throat, is with us this morning, along with Tracy Pope. And this is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Want to thank our friends at Absolute Kubota Land Pride. Quality tractor implements, including cutters, finish mowers, box blades, tillers, and more. 5-year gearbox warranty, extremely durable and well-built. 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Cleanup continues on this crash up north. It's 24 eastbound, right at the 65 interchange between Briley and 65. All that traffic trying to get in from the Jolton area. It's kind of stuck in this mess here on 24 eastbound. Again, just past Briley. Still mopping up that earlier truck crash out there on 40 westbound in Hermitage up by Central Pike now. All that traffic coming in from Wilson County starting to be affected by this wreck here on 40 westbound in Hermitage. Hey, Prince's Hot Chicken is now open inside the Assembly Food Hall near the National Museum of African American Music. They can cater your holiday parties. Log on today, princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing.
Hi, I'm Mayor Rick Bell,
And I'm Sarah Haston, your Economic Development Director for the City of Lebanon.
and we're asking each of you to shop Lebanon this Christmas season.
Are you ready for the hustle and bustle, Mayor?
Absolutely, 'tis the season, and I'm ready to get everyone checked off my list by shopping Lebanon and shopping small.
Well, it's definitely important to support our Lebanon business community.
Indeed, our Lebanon businesses are the backbone of our community, and they support us all year.
That's right. Let's show some local love at Christmas. We are asking everyone to commit to give back by shopping your local retailers here in Lebanon.
Have a Merry Christmas from all of us at the City of Lebanon.
A loaded offense.
Tannehill with the finger roll. Arthur, Juan, Brown carrying them.
A 2,000-yard king.
Derrick Henry to Peter.
And now, Julio Jones.
Touchdown, Titans.
Brought to you by Bakes and Hooker, Bates Ford, Steve Mall Plumbing, The Jewelers, and the City of Lebanon Gas and Tennessee 811. Call before you dig.
This is Wilson County's home for real country music and the Tennessee Titans. Real Country 98.9.
And thanks for joining us again. Our program presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Tracy Pope is with us along with Dr. John Tate. And Dr. John Tate is new to Vanderbilt, but not new to Lebanon. Vanderbilt ear, nose, and throat, and located on Babb Drive up, you said, near the front door of the hospital, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, we've talked about ears and ear infections and sinus infections. Anything else about the sinuses? Where we live here has probably, with we're subject to allergies and so on. What role does that play with sinuses?
You know, it plays a huge role. We see a lot of people with nasal congestion and fullness, and they come in with sinus issues, and we'll talk to them and treat them for allergies and send them for an allergy evaluation and see exactly what they're allergic to. And, you know, lo and behold, they get better and they don't have sinus. And so a lot of times, you know, what sinus is to physicians and what sinus is to patients is two different things. I think if a patient can't breathe through their nose and they get a lot of head pressure and postnasal drip, they think, well, I got sinus. But a lot of times it's from a blockage from other reasons, and that's why it's important to see an ear, nose, and throat that can evaluate the nasal airway and look up in the nose and see where the area of blockage is.
You pretty much able to help people, and is this an easy diagnosis, by the way?
Well, we diagnose sinus after treatment failure by getting special x-rays called CAT scans. And if a CAT scan shows blockage and the sinus filling up with fluid, then we have to treat that a little more aggressively. However, those are people that do end up having procedures from time to time. The procedures for sinus, for a mild sinus disease, and for 90% of sinus patients is a relatively routine outpatient procedure to, number one, get them breathing better and to get more air to the sinuses where they can ventilate properly and not let this fluid build up.
But it is a problem a lot of people have. Do a lot of people just neglect this? And
I think in this area, a lot of people do. They go to their drugstore, ask their pharmacist what can help their sinus. They get on some antihistamine or decongestants or mucolytic agents and pretty much live with it because they've had it most of their life.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move to tonsils. We hear a lot about tonsils, their infections and this sort of thing, and this is something you deal with as well.
Absolutely. The two main reasons for taking tonsils out are recurrent infections and size, creating sleep apnea, snoring, obstruction at night, difficulty breathing through the nose, chronic mouth breathers. Especially in children, it's pretty common that if they breathe through their mouth all the time, they're going to have more issues than just, tonsils. They're going to have dental issues from their teeth drying out. But it was probably the most common pediatric surgery several years ago. And over time, we've kind of learned that it's not always quite necessary to take them out unless they have real indications, which are a certain amount of obstruction where they can't breathe or a certain number of infections per year treated with antibiotics.
Well, I can remember, and it doesn't seem like all that long ago, that it was just almost a common practice that you take the tonsils out of a young child. But I've always thought the tonsils are there for some reason, and I don't know. Do you know what the tonsils
Well, and we don't know for sure, but the assumption is that the tonsils help the immune system when children are born. Now, after they developed into adolescence, there are no increase in disease or medical issues that come from kids that have their tonsils out compared to those that don't. Now, it is an operation. It does come with risks. And when I was younger and first starting in practice, if a family had 2 or 3 children and one of them got their tonsils out, they'd bring the other ones in to get their tonsils out. And that generally never happens now.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have specific reasons to put them through that.
Is particular cause? I guess there's multiple causes, but I'll ask about what does cause tonsil infections?
Well, the tonsils are a fleshy tissue, and they have grooves and crypts in the tonsil that collect bacteria and food particles. And especially in children, not as much in adults, but in children that are chronic mouth breathers, the lining of the mouth dries out and they're not able to control those areas of inflammation as well. And so if the tonsils get big enough, medication usually is not going to shrink them down to where they can breathe better, and those are times when we take them out.
So you're saying that there are times when the tonsils need to come out, but not everybody.
It certainly has become a less frequent procedure than we have in the past, and people are more aware of, I guess their bodies now, where they're, unless it's really broken, they don't want something fixed.
All right, let's go back to you mentioned deviated septum. Might talk about that again. Of course, that has to do with your nose. Treatment options.
Yes, the most common cause of a deviated septum is either being born with it through birth trauma or getting traumatic events as we grow up as teenagers and getting in fights and sporting events and other issues. But if the degree of obstruction is symptomatic enough, then we consider repairing that septum. Now, the septum is a wall that runs down the middle of the nose and separates it into 2 cavities, the right and the left. And when we fix a deviated septum, basically we lift up the lining of the nose and we trim out the crooked parts of cartilage and bone. There is a lot more there than you really need, but we leave enough to support the nose, and that's what helps the breathing. It's a relatively quick recovery. It does not involve packing. It does not give you black and blue eyes. We don't literally break the nose, which is a misconception in the public, but we basically do an internal restructuring which allows you to breathe better, and that's what helps your nose dry up when you have a lot of congestion and postnasal drainage.
Can we say that most of these are successful and people benefit?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. In fact, a lot of people wonder if it's a cosmetic procedure, and it's not one bit cosmetic. It's what we call a functional procedure to help the breathing.
Okay. Well, I'm learning a lot here. But another thing we might talk about, dizziness, balance problems, fainting, and if you can help us understand that and how this can all work together.
Right.
And I guess vertigo might come in here too. I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, that Coleman, that's a big subject. We could talk about balance and, vertigo and dizziness. Now, vertigo is generally ear related. if we have patients that are lightheaded and feel like if they stand up too quick, they get lightheaded and they may want to kind of fall back in a chair or even sometimes black out, that's not inner ear related generally. And that's more related to vascular, heart, blood pressure, other issues like that. And that's what we have to kind of separate when we see somebody. And when we see somebody that has vertigo, a lot of times they come in saying, I was dizzy last week. What can we do about it? Well, we'll examine them and we'll do a hearing test, and rarely, unless they have associated symptoms, we don't do what's called a big workup. We don't get brain scans and everything else on people unless they have more than just the mild case of vertigo. But there are several treatment options, including some mild medications and even physical therapy. And especially in the elderly, what I like to tell people is that eventually parts wear out a little bit. And when the inner ear wears out a little bit, that's what affects your balance, and kind of like a gyroscope, keeps you from knowing your orientation in space. And so there are certain physical therapy treatments that can help that. Very successful.
Okay, it is time for us to wrap it up here. Dr. John Tate has been our guest here this morning, Vanderbilt ear, nose, and throat specialist, located on Babb Drive, right on the same on the hospital campus, we'll say.
Yes, sir.
All right. And Tracy Pope, we always give you the final word.
Yes. Well, we are very excited that Dr. Tate joined us this morning. Like we said, 30 years of experience in this community.
And his experience shows in his answers.
Absolutely. I know. He was explained it very easily for us to understand. I hope all our listeners out there this morning learned something. But he is taking new patients. He's open. So if you're interested or have any problems with your ear, nose, and throat, Dr. Tate's available and would be excited to see you.
All right, 206A Babb Drive is the actual address. Dr. Tate, Dr. John Tate, thank you so much. Enjoyed your visit.
It was a pleasure.
And Tracy, we'll see you next time.
See you then.
And that is part one of Coleman and Company. Keep it here for more. FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Want to thank our friends at Bates Ford. Get $50 off, $250 repair offer to owners of 4 to 10-year-old Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury vehicles. Bates Ford, 1673 West Main. Now in traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It's still very slow go on 40 westbound as we continue to watch this crash being cleared up over here near Central Pike and Hermitage. Again, now all that traffic's trying to get through here coming in from Wilson County. Now it's extra slow. You got 2 lanes open and two lanes closed. Again, that's 40 westbound at Central Pike and Hermitage. There's no doubt this is definitely our biggest delay out here this morning. Ripley's Aquarium, Sleep with the Sharks. Check it out, Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies.com. I'm Commander Chuck, you're on time traffic.
At Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, world-class care is a heartbeat away. In fact, we offer the same world-class attention Middle Tennessee has come to rely on from a Vanderbilt Health hospital. Supported by over 200 specialties, an expanded emergency department staffed with Vanderbilt Health physicians 24/7, and greater investments in life-saving technologies and care. It's just one more way we're making healthcare personal.
The Dancing Lights of Christmas and Santa's Village is back for their 12th annual celebration of the magical Christmas season. With over 2 million lights spanning a 2.5-mile route, all perfectly synchronized to some rockin' Christmas tunes, you'll experience the dazzling sights and sounds of the Dancing Lights of Christmas from inside the comfort of your own vehicle. And for the first time ever, helicopter rides are available where you can see the lights dance from the sky. The Dancing Lights of Christmas and Santa's Village at the Wilson County Fairgrounds, 5 p.m. nightly, including all holidays. More info at thedancinglightsofchristmas.com.
Hi, this is Rick Wittrig. Do you have projects that need painting? Well, why paint when the Powder Coat Art Company will beautifully powder coat your project with a tough, durable, baked-on finish? We have options for commercial, residential, automotive, off-road, and motorcycle parts. See us on Facebook or Instagram, or for a quote, go online at powdercoatart.com or come see us at 1746 Sparta Pike in Lebanon.
Bill Bailey presents Middle Tennessee Sings the Gospel, featuring Gold City.
I will not be shaken. I will not be moved.
The Kingsmen.
I will arise and go back to my father's Father's house.
The Inspirations.
Your labors are over forevermore.
And Jeff and Sherry Easter.
Ain't it good God loves people like me?
Middle Tennessee sings the gospel. Friday, November 19th at 7 p.m. at Hillcrest Baptist Church in Lebanon, Tennessee. A $15 per person donation will be requested at the door. Plus, a love offering will be received. For information, call 877-412-SING. That's 877-412-SING. Or visit BillBaileyConcerts.com. BillBaileyConcerts.com. Middle Tennessee sings the gospel with Gold City, the Kingsmen, the Inspirations, and Jeff and Sherry Easter. Friday, November 19th at 7 p.m. at the Hillcrest Baptist Church in Lebanon, Tennessee.
It's going to be a pleasant day out there today. Temperatures will top out in the low 70s and mostly sunny skies. On Wednesday, it gets even warmer with highs climbing into the mid-70s, so plenty of sunshine. However, rain showers do move in by Thursday. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's Look at Your Forecast. I'm meteorologist T.J. Scott.
Coleman and Company, welcome to part two. Tuesday morning, we always look forward to Sean Dozier coming at this time to talk about Harside. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
How are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I had a little trouble sleeping, but feel a little better today. Feel a little better this morning. But anyway, it's good to be here, and always good to see everybody here. Your studio is starting to come together just a little bit. I know Susie is working hard on getting this back together. It's going to take a little while, but it's a fun project.
I think she's going to do it right, and sometimes to do it right, it takes longer. Okay?
Right, it does. Speaking of that, we have spent about a year remodeling Harside, and it has taken a long time just because we just got our furniture yesterday. So about 90% of our furniture came in yesterday. Our new dining room furniture, our lobby furniture. We have a new cafe that we're going to open up. So,
wow,
it's going to be nice when we get it all completed. But it has taken a long time. We have repainted the entire facility and put new signage up. So when we open back up, or we're open now, but when we have maybe a ribbon cutting or some kind of re-grand opening, we'd like for everybody to come out to see it. But it's going to be nice, and it does take a long time to get some of these projects off the ground.
Well, another thing, if in a situation even like we have, maybe, but especially what you're talking about, if you could just shut down and send everybody off for 2 weeks or something, you could get it done a lot faster.
That's right. Well, since we're open 24/7 and we never have a break, we're always open. We're always serving our residents. We kind of have to piecemeal it. In fact, our painters had to piecemeal it down the hallways because you just can't kick everybody out of their rooms and kick everybody out of the hallways. So they've done a great job. It looks fantastic. We've been there since 1994, and it looks fine. But we did need to sort of touch up and upgrade a little bit, and we did that, and we're doing that. And I'm excited about how it looks and how it's going to serve our residents, hopefully for another decade to come.
Well, if I didn't introduce him in the beginning, of course, our regular listeners know, but if you've listening for the first time this morning, Sean Dozier, Executive Director of Harside Senior Living, which is located at 215 Castle Heights Avenue North, and as he tells us, the phone number indicates, too, been around since 1994. 615-443-1994 is the phone number.
Phone number, we started in 1994 with the assisted living, the traditional assisted living, which has served so many residents over the years and continues to offer that service. People that just need a little, Coleman, as you like to say, a little extra helping hand. And it has just been a great community over the years. There's so many people, you could name them off the top of your head, people who have passed through there that season of life and who have been served there. And then, of course, in 2010, we opened up our independent living, and we continue to have a strong wait list for those beautiful 2- and 3-bedroom homes. So I'm just thrilled with how it's going, and it's a beautiful campus. We are just continuing to we're getting ready for the holidays coming up, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Our residents are looking forward to that. So a lot going on, and if you're interested, we have a few rooms available in our assisted living. You can, again, call us or visit us on the website at harsideliving.com, or as we like to say, just stop by and see us. Excuse our mess because of the remodel, but we'd be glad to give you a tour.
Well, you are locally owned and managed, and that says a lot, too.
It does say a lot. Our board is all local. Our staff is mostly from Wilson County and Carthage, Carthage or Smith County. So we know everybody. We know when you come through the door, we know your name, we know your family, and you become a part of our family. And it's just
everybody knows
your name. It's just a great community. I'm happy to lead it. I'm happy to serve it, and we have a great staff.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
Well, I'm happy to be here
to talk about it. And I hope this can continue. I think we've done well, and I know you have coming.
Well, it's been great for us. People always say they hear us on your show and hear us advertising on WANT. So it's been great for us over the years.
And one of the things that we've been doing for a long time is a Hearthside Hello. And when we reach that, it's about time for you to exit. But
that's right. It seems like a tradition. We do this every week, but it was started, by my predecessor, and I appreciate him doing that because it does. It's a good conversation starter when people see you out in the community. So,
all right.
But today I want to talk about. I want to say a Hearthside hello to my mom. Every once in a while you need to say hello to your mom, and she did say she listens to me in Goulitsville, Tennessee. So I guess she picked it up in Goulitsville, Tennessee, because I don't think she knows how to use the app or the website. So anyway, her name's Sandra Dozier, and she listens to me every once in a while. So I hope she's listening this morning. So a Hearthside hello to my mom, and look forward to seeing her next week.
Great. Well, I don't think we can improve on that, so we'll let you go and look forward to seeing you next Tuesday.
Mike, have a good week.
All right.
You have a good week, Coleman.
Right. Okay. Bye. Sean Dozier, Executive Director, Hearthside Senior Living, 215 Castle Heights Avenue North. Well, I want to welcome Mike Jennings this morning, who is here.
I better say a Watertown hello to my mother. Sean raised the bar there this morning, so I better say a Watertown hello to my mother. She's probably listening.
Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Well, it is good to see you, and I'm going to have to say I'm glad it was Georgia that you played last Saturday, not Vanderbilt, because you...
Well, yeah, Vanderbilt's having some tough times, and we're better, Coleman. We're not great. We may not even be a good team, but we are better and certainly much improved over last year. And they're fun to watch. They're playing hard. Dr. Tate and I were talking. It appears the coaches, they relate to their kids. We were talking specifically about Lane Kiffin, but I think it applies to our guys too. They seem to get along well with their players, and if the players don't play, you got a problem.
Bobby James and I were talking yesterday after I got off the air. We do occasionally when he's out here. He's our maintenance guy, by the way. But we were saying that it seems the coach knows what he's doing, and that the players have bought into him and are following good.
And it looks like it's fun to play. If you like to throw the football or catch it, you got to like playing for him because he'll throw it and catch it about every 10 seconds. And literally, they'll run plays sometimes 7 or 8 seconds after the ball is stopped. Watch them when we play Vanderbilt, Coleman. Our guys are trained not to give the ball to the closest official, but to give it to the umpire who spots the ball. But if you give it to the linesman and he runs it out there and holds it to them, we're waiting to play. So they take it to the umpire and then go to their spot and look to the sidelines and the plays there. So they've figured this thing out. More plays you run, more likely you are to score. Kind of like in basketball, the more you shoot, the better. Even if you shoot a poor percentage, you're liable to score more.
You are quite an observer.
I like to watch what people do. I like to watch the sidelines, and you can tell the coaches that are working and those that are out there, and they say the Hayes and the Barn would just have to see how it plays out. Our guys are coaching right up to the last second, and I like to watch that.
How good is Georgia? You've not missed. For those who don't know, Mike is our county attorney, mayor of Watertown, has not missed a UT game, home, away, bowl game, or whatever since 1987. So you saw the Georgia game.
I did. They're pretty good, and I say that respectfully. I don't mean that as a slash at all. Alabama's pretty good, and that matchup, I don't think it's a given that Georgia will win. I do think it's the best shot they've had in a while. Alabama, I think, is a little bit down. Georgia, where they beat Tennessee, in my opinion, Coleman, we played them pretty well between the 30s. But when we got down into red zone, orange zone, whatever you call it, the field shortens, and their defense is so quick, and a lot of the things we do relies upon space. And the space got diminished, and they handle things pretty well. It's the reason we didn't score that much, and we didn't kick field goals when you would take touchdowns to win. So they're pretty good. They're very quick on defense.
Okay, you catch Podunk U this week.
Well, I don't know, South Alabama down there somewhere they play a lot of good football down there. But they're not supposed to be
win.
They're not supposed to be very good. I understand it.
And then Saturday after Thanksgiving, it's usually when they get together, and this one is in Knoxville, isn't it?
It is 2:45 kick. They announced yesterday, and I'm glad of that because they've gotten here lately where they played that game at night. Late November, no time for a night game.
Yeah. Well, we had a county commission meeting last night, and that's the primary reason you're here is to tell us what happened. Of course, Mayor Hutto told us yesterday what was going to happen, more or less. But any surprises last night?
No, I think the mayor was 100% on his predictions. I didn't hear him, but everything we had on there last night passed. Biggest thing for, I'm not sure how, well, I will say it does affect everybody, is the redistricting for the next 10 years. So when you go to the polls in August of this year, I guess, and whenever the Republican primary is, you will have a different district that most people will still be in the same district, but a lot of things shifted to the west because that's where the population is, and redistricting is based on population. So
some of these districts that had a big geographical territory has gotten even bigger, haven't they?
The districts for Sarah Patton and Terry Scruggs, District 7 and 9, are counties in themselves.
Yeah.
You know, they're bigger than some counties that surround us. And then you go to the west end, and they've got so many people compacted in such a small area that they look very, very small. You could probably put 10 or 12 of them in Terry or Sarah's district. So,
but it goes by population, by
it
people,
does.
not by square miles.
It does. It's not geographic at all. It is population driven. And when you get to the school board zones, the 7 zones as opposed to 25 districts, Bill Robinson's zone is unbelievable. It certainly is. It's as big as any county around geographically.
Wow.
He goes all the way from the Smith and Cannon County lines all the way up into Lebanon, all the way to the other side of 840, down into there, all the way around to the Rutherford County line.
Well, we need to go to break here momentarily, but most of this had been worked out ahead of time, and I think Philip Warren and I believe Terry Ash might have been chairman of the committee that was appointed. But this was pretty much already worked out. So was there much discussion or controversy at all?
There has been a lot of discussion, a little bit of controversy, but most of that happened at the committee level. And the chairman of the committee, Commissioner Ash, gave everybody an opportunity to come in several times and meet with Philip Warren and Tammy Smith, and they who were phenomenal in their helping in it from my seat, from what I saw. And they came in, gave the opportunity to come in and talk about things, and most of that got worked out before it got to the floor last night. We had 4 no votes, but 21-4. And
21-4, all 25 present last night.
All 25 present, yes.
Okay. Well, with that, let's take our break. Mike Jennings, our county attorney, is here. We've got more in a moment on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. It's all brought to you by Absolute Kubota Land Pride. Quality tractor implements, including cutters, finish mowers, box blades, tillers, and more. 5-year gearbox warranty. Extremely durable and well-built. 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Traffic's running extremely slow on 65 southbound, right near the 103 mile marker. All that traffic coming in from Sumner County right now. Again, it's running really slow because of an accident. They're still trying to mop up this early morning truck crash out here that's causing major problems. 40 westbound here in Hermitage at Central Pike. That's just aggravating all that traffic trying to get in from Wilson County right now on 40 westbound. Gatlinburg Wine Cellar, home of the world-famous cotton candy wine. Log on today, GatlinburgWineCellar.com. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Welcome to Hearthside Senior Living, Lebanon's unique senior living community designed for seniors to age in place, all within a safe, comfortable, and Christian environment. Beautiful retirement homes designed for an independent lifestyle with maintenance-free living. Hearthside Senior Living also continues the excellent tradition of assisted living for those seniors who need additional services. Hearthside Senior Living, an independent retirement community and assisted living community, all on one campus in the heart of Lebanon. Call 615-443-1994 for a tour.
71 degrees all the way.
73 degrees, please.
So, what's your perfect degree of comfort? We'll help you find it with professional Rheem HVAC service that'll keep your home comfy year-round, save on energy costs, and may qualify for utility rebates and tax credits. So enjoy a new degree of comfort.
72 degrees, and I'm good to go.
Financing available through TVA's Energy Right program and your local power company. Call Randy's Heat and Air 237-3604. Hi, everybody. I'm Tommy Bryan.
Lebanon's remarkable run in the TSSAA playoffs continues as the Blue Devils will entertain #1 ranked Oakland this Friday night. Tickets available online at gofan.co. We'll see you at Tribble Field, Watkins Stadium. And if you can't make it in person, tune in WANT WCOR and online at WANTFM.com.
All right, thanks for joining us, and we continue. Mike Jennings, our county attorney, mayor of Watertown, is with us. We were talking about last night's county commission meeting, but the big thing is the
redistricting, reapportionment. You'll hear those terms used interchangeably.
Well, I'm glad it's gone as well. I'm a little bit surprised there were 4 negative votes there.
Well, Commissioner Stafford had said all along she was going to have to vote no. She did not feel, she said her constituents told her they didn't like the way their district was drawn. That's what you're supposed to do, represent your constituents. 2 or 3 others, I think, had maybe a little bit of dispute over a certain area. The other 3 were all kind of in the same area, and I think they just didn't like the way you got to follow population, but you got to follow natural boundaries as best you can, roads or creeks or something. So it just, I think they did all they could do with it, or at least that's what the comment was. We can't do anything else with those 3 districts other than affecting 7 or 8 more on the outer loop of it. So always, it seems to me, it's my 4th redistricting. And there always seems to come down to 1 or 2 spots like that. And it's again, like we say so many times, Coleman, it's growth.
Well, regardless of whether they like it or not, and they've got their reasons maybe not to, but can we say, at least from your perspective as county attorney and so on, is it fair? Have we got a fair redistricting?
Yeah, I think so. And I still call him Sheriff Ash, but Commissioner Ash started his meeting, or very early in every committee meeting we had, by asking Philip Warren, when the map is laid out on the table, is it fair? Does it follow the law? Is it within the variation or the deviation that's allowed for population? And the answers were always yes. Yes, I think from my perspective, it was as fair, maybe not as it could be, but it was fair. It's hard for me to say fair as it could be because I don't know the intricate details.
Yeah, and I can understand some differences of opinion there, and if you've represented a particular area and it gets changed too much, but it's almost impossible to please everybody in something like this.
It is, and honestly, Coleman, I thought the big debate would come on the school board zones, because now, for road commission, they are set by private act as long as you can make the population work. Constable zones, 5 districts per 1 constable. So that's pretty easy. This is the first time we had 7 school board districts, and 7 into 25 is not an even number. So you've got school board districts that split county commission districts. And so there'll be people that, I dare say, it may say, well, I voted for so-and-so in the county commission last night. Yes, that's still your commissioner. I voted for the school board. No, you got a new school board member. So you need to check and make sure where you are. And that'll come out.
Be a little confusing to a lot of people.
Probably will be the first election.
Well, some people.
Yeah, probably will be to the first election.
But really, like you say, 25 does not divide by 7 evenly, so you don't have any choice.
I didn't hear a lot of complaining. I was kind of the conduit when they would put a map on the table. They'd ask me to take it to the school board, and I'd take them a thing and say, now y'all need to get in and see Philip Warren if you got issues, questions, comments, whatever. And then the final one they came up with, I took to them, and to my knowledge, I think I heard somebody say at the election office only 2 of the 7 school board members came in and talked to him about it. So that indicates satisfaction to me.
Well, this passed 21-4, so it's for real.
It is.
And it's a done deal. So we get ready.
And
when's this?
The others, I think, were 24-1, 24-1, and maybe 23-1 and 1. I'm not sure. Somebody may have abstained.
When does this take effect immediately? Or?
It takes effect January 1.
All right.
So the next elections, the people that are in the seats now continue to represent their districts as we know them now. But the next election will be where the new ones kick in.
So really the general election next August.
August, but you've got a county primary coming up sometime in March or May.
May.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's enough of that. There was, I know, some other things that were considered last night. There's always more than one item on the agenda, but some of it is to our regular listeners and even to me, sometimes a little bit routine and mundane.
That was the word I was looking for, mundane.
Maybe even to the county attorney, I don't know.
Yeah, the one good thing that happened last night is the first time we had a meeting that wasn't as hectic and pressure-packed as the last 2 or 3. We had more, I was telling Mayor Hutto last night at the conclusion, we had more of the holiday meetings like we used to have. We used to have September, November, and especially December. Everybody was in the holiday spirit and, just wanted to get in and get out, and they bring Christmas cards and all that stuff. The last few years it's changed a little bit, and so hopefully this is a harbinger of things to come for at least December, I hope.
Well, anything else that's important from last night we need to tell everybody?
Well, not particularly with the county commission, but it occurs to me I might mention this. The school system put out an RFP for land last month, and they only got 2 responses. And they started getting calls from people saying, I wanted to be involved in that. So they have reopened their RFP process. It's open now. And if you have land out there that meets their criteria, and you can get that from talking to one of the school board members or the website, but it's open until November 30, I believe.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Luttrell was sick when the normal meeting would have been held, and it was moved up a day or 2. And he was on last week, and he told us some about that.
He mentioned it last night. It's the only reason it was on my mind.
But that is, I think they acted in good faith there. I mean, if people didn't know about it and they got some land that might be available, I mean, you want to get to the best that's out there.
It's a long-term decision. I mean, you build a school, you hope it's going to last 40 years or so. So you want to put it in the right place. Traffic, of course, is always an issue, and you got to get buses in and out. You got to be worried about school safety. The schools need to be visible so that if there's ever an issue there, law enforcement can respond.
Well, I don't think we're exactly under the gun to do this, but if we procrastinate, we will be, and we need to stay ahead of the curve, as the saying goes. And I think it's being responsible, going ahead and finding some land and getting posts. The way we're growing here, it's unreal.
He may have told you this, and I think I remember this correctly, but the week we came back from fall break, we were up 83 students. That's three more classrooms.
Yeah.
And, we're just growing phenomenally. So, like you say, we've got to move on it. Doesn't have to be done today, but it sure can't wait 2 years,
Right. You're the attorney for the school board. When they meet, you're usually there, and that's that sort of thing. How are we coming along with I didn't ask Jeff this, but with the rebuilding, is that going well?
He mentioned that last night. Stoner Creek is ahead of West Wilson. Like everything else, he mentioned on one of I think it was the portables that we were setting up temporary, having trouble getting breakers. And so he said last night, I heard him say before, if you got if there's somebody out there that's got what I need, I'll come get it. So, but they're making progress, probably not as fast as everybody wishes, but, we're out there in the marketplace competing for goods. And
let's talk a little bit about Watertown. We usually do that before you leave.
Yeah, we got a council meeting tonight, but everything's going to rotate around Watertown Friday night again for the 4th year in a row with Watertown and Trousdale County. And let me say, by the way,
isn't that something?
Yeah, it is.
Now I believe it's one step past this year.
No. Last year they won the quarterfinal match.
Oh,
we've played them. I believe the last 3 years it's been in the quarterfinals.
All right.
always at home, and we've always come up short. So I'm hopeful that changes this year.
Fourth year in a row.
Fourth year in a row. And if I'm not mistaken, it's the fourth year. Well, I know it is. It's the fourth year in a row that we beat them in the regular season. And then 3 times we've lost in the postseason. So big game Friday night.
Well, now, didn't Watertown win by a little bit bigger margin in the regular season this year than in previous years?
They did, and actually it could have been wider. We took a knee.
So
there.
If we can draw any conclusion from that, maybe this is the year.
The conclusion I would draw from that is I bet they're preaching that minute in and minute out at Trousdale County, how bad they beat y'all. Y'all got to settle the score. So I hope our guys are ready. Trousdale will be ready. That's a good program.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
But that's a big doings in Lebanon and Green Hill. I'm very said on the scoreboard show the other night. East, Central, and West all in the playoffs and all in the top 8 in their class. That's a real tribute to our programs.
Lebanon's got their work cut out.
They do.
Because Riverdale did beat Oakland.
You mean Oakland beat Riverdale?
Oakland beat Riverdale. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, Oakland beat Riverdale. Is Oakland number one?
If they're not number one, they probably should be, from what I hear. But now the hill gets steeper when you get to this level, no question about it.
Well, you know that old saying, the bigger they come, the harder they fall.
And as I was telling people before the Georgia game, they kept telling me, Georgia's going to stomp you, Georgia's going to stomp you. I said, it's the reason they play every Saturday. And go back and look, every Saturday this year has been an upset somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe it's our time. It wasn't, but I was optimistic.
I think my clock here is 2 minutes slow.
Oh,
MJ, is it almost 8 o'clock? She says it's already passed. All right, well, we are 2 minutes, but this clock will self-correct, but it hadn't this morning. Mike, thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.
All right, thanks,
And
Coleman.
that's it for a Tuesday. Join us tomorrow. Until then, I wish you a terrific